Good morning, Rabbi Sai. I'm right here in Arlington Heights, Doubletree Hotel, celebrating the Ofrov of my son. Tremendous occasion. And as you know, when you do an Ofrov, and there's a lot of guests coming from Eretz Yisrael, from different cities, and there's not a whole lot of time to sit down and prepare and learn. But yet, you have to sit down and prepare and learn. You have to do the daf. There's not a day that goes by that we don't do the daf Rabbi Sai. So here we are. There's a beautiful, lavish Malava Malka going on right now. And we are not going to participate in the Malava Malka. We're going to do the daf. So listen to this. You could eat as much as you want. The guys here, actually, you know what? You tell me what the sponsors are. I can't check right now. It's the middle of this year. What? You know, one guy that you might have to revoke his. Yeah, what are you saying? Okay, I don't have sponsors. So we're going to go. Let's see. You have sponsors. Okay. Today's shir, leading Nishmas Mordechai, the memory of our beloved niece Miri on her second yahrtzeit, who left us at the young age of 9 years, 8 months, 22 days. May her neshama have an aliyah, and this learning bring nechama to the family. Miriam, Bas Daniel, Shlomo, Zichrah, Baruch, by Tzirel and Avrohom and the boys. By Mordechai Sapoznick, Lzaicher Nishmas' great grandfather, Reb Avrohom Yeshayahu Sapoznick, Avrohom Yeshayahu ben R Yechiel Michel, Zichrah, he was a person who was very committed to shmiras, Shabbos, and Yiddishkeit. Maybe a Mendel for the entire Mishpach and all of Klal Yisroel. By Michael Reiser, Mazal Tov to Reb Eli and family on the wedding of his son. May the new zivug bring much kavod shamayim. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, Michael. Yishkar to the whole olam. You know, I received many emails, text messages, etc. So a great yishkar. If I don't respond, it's not because I'm rude. It's just regular behavior. What are you saying? Picture's a little schwach? Perfect. That doesn't look perfect to me at all. If that's perfect to you, Hashem Yirachem. Gary just said it's a beautiful picture. Oh, we have Paras HaChodesh, Michael Benmeleh in the Succah that he should make it to Uman today, this year for hashana, and that's all I remember. I remember Faige something. Oh, there's more. He has it. Okay. In memory of his mother, Devora Faige about shmuel, and father-in-law Menachem, Mendel ben Elchanan. Boys, I just want to read to you an amazing email. It was written with the help of a friend, Yehuda Kentridge, I believe. And it's written by Lavi Ze'ev ben Yehudit Greenspan. So remember that name, Lavi Ze'ev, because we're going to daven for this person. Hi, my name is Lavi. When I was 26, Lechem went blind because of a brain tumor. Ever since I've, Baruch Hashem, become a lawyer, I'm a school shrink, and I have the schus of being mechazik people by speaking publicly about my story and bringing people closer to Hashem. But there's something missing, something that I miss more than anything, something that so many have taken for granted. I can't learn inside a Gemara. I'm still blind. I'm turning to you. This is what I need now. It's the emotional weekend, another emotional thing. I'm turning to you because Hashem has been mizaki you to bring so much of what's truly important to people who can never learn otherwise, the people who are scattered across the vast diaspora and to big Talmid Chachamim. You've been a shliach for tremendous achas b'Torah in Klal Yisroel. I turn to you and your wonderful Torah family to turn to Rebbeinu Shleilam. On my behalf, beseech him to give the ability to see the Heilige Torah. See, Rabbi, we take for granted. Here's a person crying that he wants to see the Heilige Torah. He wants to see the Gemara inside. He listens to the Torah, but he can't hear it. He can't see it. And get married. He wants to get married. Because we're here now by a marriage. Yeah, the learning at. That's why I'm reading this. We're here for the chassid of my son, a tremendous schos, and I have here Reb Eli Kapelovich, my mechutan, sitting here as well. This shidduch should be Eli Yafa, and this tzaddik should be zayich to get married also, to build a family of Torah. Baruch Hu was mechadish betuva b'chol yom tamid. Loi toiv heyois adam levadoi. He's reminding us. He's akol yachol einoi levadoi. Thank you so much. Hamavarach v'hamavarachim is Baruch Hu b'keva keflayim b'schar sharam Yisrael amen. I'm in Eretz Yisrael till a week until. Please can I have a short private audience with you before I leave to get a bracha in person? Thanks. So, a Birkas Hediyot is just as good on Zoom and on YouTube. And I'm going to ask the Olam now, if everybody together, we'll say it together. In Schos Lavi Ze'ev Ben Yehudis, he should have a refuah shlema and should have a shidduch b'karov. Everybody, Lavi Ze'ev Ben Yehudis, Greenspan.
Yes, Goldstein went to Uman.
Yeah, Yisrael Goldstein went to Uman with him? Wow. Noam also knows Lavi Greenspan. Here's one from Jeff Gordon in Boynton Beach, Miami Beach. For the past year and a half, I've been stuck at home during the pandemic. Deserved a vacation. So he went to Iceland. And while he's in Iceland, of course, he made sure to watch it up. Everybody knows Jeff Gordon. He's on that famous video. Imagine my surprise that one morning I tune in and lo and behold, you're in my backyard in Miami. I'm sure Sandy treated you well and offered some low-key humor to keep your attention. I feel awful I missed the opportunity to finally meet you in person. It was amazing. Sandy treated us tremendous. Catered meal, the whole thing. But life is all about timing. So now the achrais is on me to hopefully soon make it back to Tzirel and attend the daf in person at the mothership. Please send Yeshua my best. I hear he was also in town, but keep hearing he's everywhere, and honestly, no one ever remembers seeing him. LOL. May we all be Mazal and having want to see him together in person. Jeff Gordon. Do we have time for another one? You know what? It's Sunday morning. This is a really, really good one. I recommend saving this for a day that you have time. It's a super important message. I agree. My continuous war on dopamine in the daf. Dear Reb Eli, this is Yoeli Dopamine. No, I'm kidding. His name is, I forgot how to pronounce his name. What's this all about? Okay, wow. Reb Shlomo Miller is on from Borough Park. His son was a donor to a kidney transplant. You should have a refuah shlema. So check this out, Yoeli Doplet. Yes, my plan is to eventually beat Kalman from the 5 towns in the frequent email competition. I want to point out another huge benefit this year has in my life. Hopefully inspire others to take advantage of this as well. You hear this, Rabbi Isai? One of my primary struggles is curbing YouTube time, which has never-ending lure of dopamine release. Dopamine is a chemical released by the brain when, for example, one eats junk food, plays video games, one spends mindless time on the screen, and would start with watching political debate, leading to watching Michael Jordan's most famous dunks, and somehow eventually 3 hours later, watching a mongoose fighting a rattlesnake. This guy's awesome. I don't know, does he have my history? What is going on here? Michael Jordan's best dunks, and before you know, you're watching a mongoose battling a rattlesnake. Unbelievable. I think he's stucking me with the mongoose. At this point, one is frequently surrounded by potato chip crumbs. In Judaism, some refer to dopamine simply as the Yitzhahara. He's right. You didn't say they have all these different names. It's the Yitzhahara. It's dopamine. It feels good in the short term, but leaves you drained and empty. My main strategy in this war was to only allow myself a dose of dopamine stuff after completing a low dopamine activity, aka boring stuff, such as sending out invoices, making a phone call. You hear his idea. Do a small thing, then watch a little YouTube. There are many ups and downs. I have many interests that stimulate my mind, such as chess matches, music history, political debate, and sports. And the phone is so accessible, the battle plan was slowly working. Enter Reb Eli share on YouTube. One new simple rule was a game changer. I may not watch any YouTube on my phone until I finish that day's daf, plus the Amud of catch up on Masechtas Shabbos, where I fell off the Daf Yomi first wheel last year. The strategy in Milchemes HaYetzer has been so effective that most days I go to sleep without having seen Ben Shapiro or Tucker Carlson clips that day. When I close my eyes, I no longer hear Dr. Fauci's voice. Fauci, not a typo. I'm seeing evidence that this is making me a better husband, father, friend, and a better Jew. Yeshua for helping me on this pathway to a more authentic life. Please share this with the rest of the NY community, as I'm not the only one entangled in this dopamine battle. As my Rav, Rabbi Yomin Eisenberger, put it, it is the challenge of our generation. Thank you for allowing me to share. I love you all. Yol Alevi, I forgot how to pronounce his name, Doppelt. P.S. I thought that in the spirit of the struggle, I would try to be more present and slow you down to regular speed when learning the daf. But what can I say? I don't think it will happen in this lifetime. I hope by the next cycle in 2027, I'll be ready to demote to 1.25 speed. PPS, I have a long-term plan to make so much progress that my ADHD will stand for addicted to my Daf Yomi dose. ADHD. Gewaldig. Rabbi said beautiful emails, as usual. Keep them coming. It was a beautiful Shabbos. Thank you. And tomorrow is going to be a beautiful day. You guys discuss when the shir should be. I think I'm going to do it at 12 o'clock p.m. My wife is not happy. Zokt the Heilige Gemara. Without Chof Hey, Amud Aleph, Masechta Sukkah. And we are discussing, we just have to finish off the sugya. We stopped the middle of a sugya. What happens if you have a sukkah that has moving walls, a sukkah made out of fabric, out of a tarp, moving walls, toshma, shavas betel shugavoya asara. We have three cases that are basically the same exact cases. And they are, one was in a tel. A tel is a mountain, a mound. Here's a picture of a mound. The tail is not meant, it wasn't built and designed for humans. It was there from Sheshis and Bereishis, Shugavoya Asara, Vu Arba Amos Ad Beis Osayim. It's minimum 4 amos by 4 amos, and it might be up till 2 sa. What's the significance of 2 sa? Because anytime you have something that's not a Rishus HaYachid, like a Carmelus, it's Nishtahin and Nishtaher, we have 120 people on Zoom. It's amazing. On a Motzi Shabbos in New York, who knows? It's already 12. It's already past midnight over there. Oh, because we have Eretz Yisrael. I forgot about Eretz Yisrael. 7:15 Eretz Yisrael. We have people in the Beis Medrash. Wow, Shalom Aleichem, guys in the Beis Medrash. MDY, how you doing, Dailam? It just went dark on you. Okay, beautiful. Shavas betel shugavoya asaravu ma'arba amas al beis osayim. So he's sitting on top of this. Now, what's going on here? Let's talk. Let's take it a step back. On Shabbos, you're permitted to go 2,000 amas from the end of your house, from the end of your city, from the end of your shvisas, knias rishus. What's the word? Where you shoyvis on Shabbos. Now, if you put an eruv, you put challah, so the 2,000 amas starts from that point. Great. So that's Shabbos 2,000 amas. If your place is on top of this mound, or the reverse of a mound, which is a neka, you go into the ground, but you live, that you're kind of shvisa, that's the word, kind of shvisa in this area. So this whole place becomes yours. Your 2,000 amas starts from the boundary of this neka. So you got 2,000 amas this way, 2,000 amas this way, but that's it, 2,000 amas. So it doesn't matter if it's a hole in the ground or a mound of the thing. And the third case is if it's made out of wheat, stalks of wheat. Now, there's only one difference here. Let me ask you a question. If you are in this little neka, so here are your walls. You can see your walls are very defined. Here they are. But if you're on a mound of dirt, how's that your rishus? How's that your home? Where are the walls? Nu. So you have to say, good asik mechitzta. The walls, that's why the Gemara tells us it's 10 tefachim tall. So it already has within it built-in 10 tefachim walls, and they go upwards, and they create invisible walls around. I guess the best case, the easiest case to understand is this right over here. You live in a house made out of stalks. Okay. Shavas betel shugavoy asor, vu arba amos ad beis osayim. It has to be minimum arba amos. B'chem benega shu amoy kasara. It's 10 tefachim deep. Vu arba amos ad beis osayim. It's up until 2 sa in terms of square amos. V'chein kama ktsura. You have stalks that are chopped down. They're cut. V'shibalis mekifas oisa, and they have stalks all around, like a maze. Sometimes they have these mazes. You have somebody cut within the corn or within the stalks. You have a little area. That's where you decided to spend your Shabbos. Beautiful Shabbos within the stalks. Mahalchas kula. So of course you can walk within the stalks and within the mound, all around. But from that point on, b'chutzala, from that point on, alpayim amo. Ask the Gemara the question, afagav, the cause of asi. What about the stalks? They move in the wind. And we just said that anything that moves in the wind is not considered a mechitza. Right? We decided already that this sukkahs, we're getting rid of our tarp sukkahs and our fabric sukkahs. We're going to solid sukkahs. Or we're going to correct the fabric by putting in ropes. Your wife is going to ask, what is going on here? It's ugly. It doesn't matter because the tarps move. And it's not a good sukkah, it's not a good mechitza. Says the Gemara, we must say, if you look closely in this circle right over here, they strengthen the wheat, the stalks, so that it doesn't move in the wind, and therefore it's a proper mechitza. We have a beautiful sugya coming up, says the Mishnah, the official Mishnah sponsored by Fishel. Shluchei mitzvah ptur min sukkah. If you are on a mission to perform a mitzvah, such as to learn Torah, says Rashi, or to redeem somebody who's in captivity, pidyon shvuim, or to go see your Rebbe. So you have a job already. You're already busy with a mitzvah. And a oisik b'mitzvah patur min a mitzvah. If somebody's doing one mitzvah, you don't have to do another mitzvah. There's a major machloikis rishonim here in the sugya. What if you could do both? What if one doesn't? Obviously, if we had the whole sugya, a person that's wearing tzitzis, of course he's not patur from all mitzvahs. Okay, is this going to take away from his concentration, etc.? Okay, so that's step number one. If you have a chayla she'ein bo sakana, this is not a danger. You're in the nursing home. And the nurses, again, they're part of an asukah. We're going to see exactly what's going on. So there are three things that you must perform in the sukkah. That's eating and drinking and sleeping. It says over here that you could eat and drink. We'll see in the Gemara exactly how much. But achilas aray. You're allowed to take a little snack. You're allowed to drink a little bit. But you cannot take a little shluf in the sukkah. You can't sleep a shenas aray even for 2 minutes. Why? What's the difference? What's the difference between eating a little bit and sleeping a little bit? Well, sleeping, you might not get up. Have yahrtzeit, keep on going. I saw very interesting. There are people that are very makbid, not to eat anything outside of the sukkah. So I saw a Pinkus, he said that he's once on a trip to America on sukkahs. And he's on the plane and he didn't eat. And he landed and he didn't eat. And he's starving. Didn't eat. He has a minhag, he doesn't eat. And he writes that he has charata. He has charata because it's mutter to drink aray, it's mutter to eat aray, whatever that shear is. And he was mitzayir himself on Yontif. And it's Yontif. Simchas HaYontif, he's over. He says, I shouldn't have done that. It's a mistake on my part. Mili, how do we know this idea of Isaac ben mitzvah patur min mitzvah? And we know, I mentioned it many, many times, the unbelievable hashgacha pratis that we learned Masechtas Pesachim, and we finish Masechtas Pesachim Erev Pesach. We're learning Masechtas Sukkah, and we're going to finish Masechtas Sukkah right before Sukkot. On Rosh Hashanah this year, we learned 2 dapim about Rosh Hashanah. It was incredible, etc., etc. We had it a few times, just recently again. And today, I'm sitting here in the hotel celebrating the Avrohom of my son, and tomorrow as well. And unbelievably, we have a sukkah about a chassan, simchas a chassan, and how a chassan is supposed to act on. And the Gaon says that anytime the Torah coincides with the parsha and the Gemara, it's like Baruch Hu is giving you a hug. Baruch Hu is telling you, hey, what's up? This is his way of talking to you. Take it seriously. And tomorrow also, the sugya continues. Nechama, chassan v'ashishvinim, chassan and his friends. Mamish was sitting here with his friends, crazy. 20 of his friends. I don't know how many were his friends. 30 of his friends. The Toner Rabbanon b'shiftecha b'veisecha. We say it every day. You're supposed to say Kriya Shema, learn Torah b'shiftecha b'veisecha when you're sitting in your house. Prat lo isik b'mitzvah. You don't have to say Kriya Shema if you're performing a mitzvah. Uvelechtecha v'aderech prat l'chasam. Now, what is the difference? We just said that a person that's performing a mitzvah doesn't have to say Kriya Shema. So why is a chassan any different? And the obvious answer is, and Rashi points it out, a person is oisik b'mitzvah, meaning He's doing Hashavas Aveda, he's carrying an animal, he's doing something, he's running around. Over here you have a person that the entire mitzvah, what he's tarred in is in his head. It's only in his head. Mental. He's tarred mentally, and that's also something, as the Gemara is going to describe, he's potter from mitzvahs. He's potter from Kriya Shema. Bikan Amru HaKoines is a psula potter. If he's marrying a psula, then he's potter from Kriya Shema because he's tarred. He's concerned about the mitzvah and everything, and it's worrying him. He's worried also that he's not going to find her a psula. That's his concern over here. But Almana obviously doesn't have that concern that he's not going to find psulim, so he doesn't have that concern. So therefore, he's chayav b'kriyashma. My mashma. How do we see from the words of Alechtacha derech? Omer Avuna kiderech. It's like the way ma derech rishos. You can pick and choose any way you want. Go right, go left. Avkol rishos. So too, these mitzvahs. La puki haidev mitzvah. So too, when you're saying Shema, you have rishos. You can do whatever you want, but if you don't have rishos, you can't do whatever you want. You're in the middle of doing a mitzvah. You're also a mitzvah. You're potter from Kriya Shema. Milo Yaskinon asks the Gemara, but who told you where he's going? Maybe it also includes a guy going to a mitzvah. He's going. It doesn't say where he's going. Okay, so he's saying most of the time he's going to Dvar Rishos. He's going to the grocery store. But maybe it also includes somebody's going to a mitzvah. Realize he goes to the mitzvah. And nevertheless, the Torah says you should say Kriya Shema even though you're asuk b'mitzvah. Says Gemara okay, so it's a drasha. The extra chav at the end is what we're darshaning. Beleches lidah chudim l'chayves, or beleches the mitzvah b'tiras. Belech techa. What's the drasha? It's you're going. It doesn't say going. It's not a person going. It's you. You're going for yourself. What's going for yourself? Rishos. But if you're going for a mitzvah, anytime you're going for a mitzvah, it's not for you. It's for Hashem. That is when you are potter. Okay, ask the Gemara. So now we're going to break it down. So now what's the difference? If a person is going for a mitzvah, he's doing a mitzvah. So what's the difference if he marries an almana, marries a grusha, marries a psula? At the end of the day, he's getting married, and that's a mitzvah. That mitzvah itself should pater him from Kriya Shema. Says the Gemara, Kani says a psula tarid. Well, there's two things. There's a guy that's performing a mitzvah, and there's a guy that's busy. Tarid. He doesn't have the head for it. So, a person who marries a psula version, he's tarud. Koines almana loy tarud. He doesn't have the same tirda. So now the Gemara breaks it down even more. So what are you telling me? That the point is tirda. The point is the person who can't perform. He has something on his mind. He has a major issue, a personal problem. His ship just went down. His business went kaput. He lost a lot of money in the stock market. So he that is Torah, he doesn't have to say Kriya Shema. He's even more Torah than a chassan. So maybe he should also be potter. Achanami the potter, v'chidei machinami. And if you'll say yes, a person who just lost a loved one. Hardest time in the world to concentrate. How can you concentrate in such a time? All you're thinking about is the tsar. Yet, chayiv b'chol ha-mitzvahs ha-murus b'Torah. Person's chayiv in everything. Chutz min ha-tefillin. There's one mitzvah he's potter. Sharei nemar b'hem pe'er. We're going to see the real drasha or another drasha. But the point is that tefillin, it says pe'er, it's your glory. You don't wear tefillin when you're rolling in the dust with tsar. So avel is chayiv in mitzvahs. But why? If the whole point is tirda, that I am preoccupied with thought, so then what's the difference between an avel and a chasam? Says the Gemara, you need a combination of two things. You need to be preoccupied, but with a mitzvah. Hasam tarid tirda de rishus. When a person is a avel, it's rishus. Now, maybe avel has to act ba'avelus. He does. Says Rashi, he has to take his shoes off and he has to sit on the floor, but he's not mechuyev to be bitzar. That he has no chiyev to be bitzar. He has to act bitzar, says Rashi. Let's see it inside actually. It's a good Rashi. 4 lines from the bottom. She'af al pi shu chayiv. Tir the Rishus says Rashi. She'af pi shu chayiv linog avelos shel ni'ila rechitza v'sika. You can't bathe. You can't take a haircut. Laharis k'foid meisai. It's just to show from the outside. It's a very important Rashi. It's an outer show l'kavod hameis, but it doesn't mean that you have a chiyuv to sit and cry and to be bitzar. Azay zok Rashi. Einoi chayiv litztair. I just thought it's very interesting. I'm sure they talk about it, that an Ovel has Aninos. The first day is a Einan. Then he has 7 days of Avelos, of Shiva. Then he has 30 days of a lower type. And then he has a whole year that he can't listen to music and he has to say Kaddish and the whole thing, right? And the flip side is a Chassan. A Chassan has the day of his Chasana, Sheva Brachas, and he has Shloishim. There's a halachas of Shloishim. We just learned an hour of Masechta of washing, being trying to attract the chas and the whole thing. The kala has different halachas, and you have shana rishayna. It's very interesting. I don't know what it is exactly. The parallel you have and it's the first day is the most powerful. Then goes 7 and 30. Okay, You know what? Being that you said it, I'll say it even better. They say it says in the pasuk Toiv leleches al beis ha'avel meleches al beis hamishta. It's better to go to the house of mourning than to go to a wedding. The question is why, and the answer is no. I'm trying to say something like that because at a chasana you bury 2 people. Okay. What he's trying to say is that when you get married, it's a type of an avelos, and this is shiva, and there's okay. It's a good thing when Noam spoke beautifully. He was the first speaker out of, I want to say there was at least 20 speakers, the Shabbos. It was a little crazy. All the friends wanted to speak. Fine. Noam was number 1, and he actually knocked it out of the ballpark, so yishkoyach. Good thing you kept that joke to yourself. Zok the Gemara. V'isik b'mitzvah, patur min ha-mitzvah, ma'achan afka. What? This is where we learn the idea of ha'isik b'mitzvah. The Gemara is going to bring another place where we learn this idea that if you're doing a mitzvah, you don't have to do another mitzvah. Now, Rashi keeps on saying, and you'll see soon also, ha'isik b'mitzvah, you're doing a smaller mitzvah that could pater you. The chiddush is you could pater you from even a larger mitzvah, a more important mitzvah, or a mitzvah we'll see kares, korban pesach, etc. Why is it mitzvah? I learned from another place. The Sanya. As it says in the pasuk, if you look in the side, we're talking about the Pesach Sheni, Korban Pesach Sheni. That what? If people were tummy, the war people that are tummy, they couldn't bring the Korban Pesach on Yudalet Nisan. So Akash Baruch Hu said, and Akash Baruch said there's something called Pesach Sheni. Who couldn't bring a Korban Pesach? Noisei aroinoi shel Yosef hayu divrei Reb Yosi Haglili. You hear? Reb Yosi Haglili says that it's Noisei aroinoi shel Yosef, those who carried the aron of Yosef Atzadik. Now, I want to bring up a very interesting topic. Very interesting topic. You hear? There are people, kohanim, that go to Uman. Why do they go to Uman? Because they say that a tzaddik's kaver is not metama. I'm sure the Lubavitchers, they go to the, I don't know, I didn't hear. I'm assuming that they go to the oil of the Rebbe. And many kohanim go to Reb Shimon Bar Yochai. So it's a shaila. Are you allowed to go to the, so here's the sugya. It says in the Medrash that Eliyahu Navi, after Rebbe Kiva was killed, Eliyahu Navi grabbed Rebbe Kiva on his shoulder and ran away with him. So they said, Eliyahu, you're a Kayin. What are you doing? So he said, Talmidei Chachamim are not metama. So that's the Medrash. So in fact, there's major Rishonim like the Ramban and all sorts of Rishonim, the Chinuch, the Rashba. They prove from this Medrash, Talmidei Chacham is not metama, you're allowed to be metama. Tosfos argues, and Tosfos says that Rebbe Kiva, not over here, that Rebbe Kiva was a meis mitzvah because he was arugi malchus, and they wouldn't give up the body, So Eliyahu Hanavi had to grab the body and run. He had to save the body, but it's not because the Medrash says that he said Tamid Chachamim, Anamatama. He says it was a Tchiyah B'alma. And that is, it's a whole sugi, it's a whole long arichos. The Maral says, and you know what? I'll ask you, how can you prove from our sugya that a Talmid Chacham is Matama? It's Mamish Mefurish. It says, Yosef Tzaddik was Matama, those who held Aron. And the Maral says, I think it was the Maral, the Rishon, not the Maral Meprag. Maral, I think it was him. One of them said, well, you think that we're the Yosef Tzaddik, you're talking about Sitkas of Yosef Tzaddik. Who's greater than Yosef Tzaddik? And he's Matama. And there he became Tamaim. These are people holding the Aron. These are Gdoilim holding, and they became Tamaim. Okay. Anyways, it's a sugya. The Avni Nezer was asked when the Sfas Emes was nifter. He was asked, could the Koyahana be Matama to the Sfas Emes? And he said, absolutely not. It's also. So, Bekitzer, don't think it's a simple parsha. There's a lot spoken over here. So look into it yourself. Says the Gemara. So Reb Eli says that it's those who were carrying the Aron of Yosef, they couldn't bring a Korban Pesach, they had to bring it on Pesach Sheni. We just turned to Chafei and Beis, sponsored by the MDY Tehillim Group, for all those who need Shidduchim Refuahs and Yeshuas, including our blind friend. Please join Tehillim.8mindaf.com. Reb Akiva Omer Mishal vel Tzafon Hayu Mishal and Tzafon war Shoyoiskim ben Nadav Avihu, the famous Nadav Avihu that died. Who were Mishal vel Tzafon? Their cousins. Reb Yitzchak Omer. So they were Isaac and them. There's a whole beautiful Taisus here. You know what? I'll talk about Taisus because it could lead into something else maybe. Taisus says if we learned, remember Nadav Avihu, two strings of fire went into their nose and they died. But there's another mandal that says they were completely burnt. And if they were completely burnt, ashes are not metama. So Taisus says, what? No. There's a mandal that says they got completely consumed. The two fires that went into the nose, it was the inside. That was that. But there's another mandal that says they're completely consumed. It says Taisus, look at Taisus. The Shemo Shildon Hoysa Kayemes. So you're probably thinking Sheled, like in Hebrew, means like the skeleton, but it's not what it means, because we learned it already in Nida, I think. It means the outline. Like if you burn a body on a piece of leather or something, if you could see the outline, that's a Sheled. Then it's still Betama, and that brings me to my Maisa. But if you're new, I'll say it again. That I still have this property. It's called Abney Lake in Indianapolis. And one day I get a call that one of the apartments burnt down. Okay, great. Burnt down means we make a lot of money. Build it. They pay you for a lot of other apartments. Great. But then the FBI shows up and the FBI says, the guy that rented that apartment is missing. We need to check the apartment. So they check the apartment. Of course, he's not in there. So they check the whole property, he's not on property. They come back a few days later and they say, we need to drain the lakes in your property. So I printed out, I said this picture before, but today, just to make it interesting, I printed out what it looks like, the lakes. This is the property. It's 460 apartments, so like 47 buildings. This is one lake up here, but these green masses over here are also lakes. These are dirty lakes, all this green. It's a lot of water, Rabbi Yisai, a lot. And we need to drain the lakes. First they went in with scuba diving gear. They couldn't find them. To make a long story short, I think it was after 3 months. We were about to renovate the apartment, and the first was sealed off. And then they discovered that this guy is actually in the apartment, and that everybody has trampled over him. There was no Zichrah to this guy. He was burnt to such a crisp. There's no shellet. There's no outline of his body even. That's what they discovered. That is the Maisa. I'm sorry to tell you, but there's such a thing as no Shellet and Shellet, but that's Shellet. What? You don't remember the story? No. Look at me. Oh, you do? Okay.
10 minutes, not even.
What we have left? Shachar is in 10 minutes. Oh, what do you mean? We already started on Beis. More than enough time. Zok the Gemara. So, ask the Gemara, the Rashi says they didn't carry Yosef's Aron for 10 months. So what is it? It's not like they carried it yesterday. They had 10 months before Pesach to become tar. It can't be that. When was Nadav and Avihu? When did they die? On the 1st of Nisan. Pesach is on the 14th. When did they discover the idea? When the HaKadosh Baruch Hu talk about the paraduma on the 2nd? Kitzur, they had plenty of time until Pesach, a whole week, to be entire with the Efer of the paraduma. So it cannot be. So Rashi says it cannot be. I'm just explaining Rashi. It cannot be a real Meis Mitzvah. That's not what we're talking about. Real Meis Mitzvah, you got to do it. There's no choice. We're talking about relatives. It's a mitzvah. Meis Mitzvah, it's a mitzvah. Shechal Shvi Shalem Lias Be'erev Pesach. It's very interesting. Rashi uses a lashon here. If you look at Rashi, you'll have to go all the way down. Not all the way down, but like almost 2/3. Well, 10 lines before it becomes wide. And Rashi says that when you bury your dead, your mishpacha, it's a mitzvah kala. Mitzvah kala. Why is it a mitzvah kala? It's a massive mitzvah. I'm burying. So I saw a beautiful pshat that just gives us some light of what's going on. If you recall, in the Midbar, they weren't mal their children. It was the wrong. So somebody that's not mal his child cannot bring a carbon Pesach. Remember, I'm just saying this for those beautiful halachas that we learned. If you have a child doesn't have a bris milah, you're not allowed to bring a carbon Pesach. In the Midbar, they didn't do milah to the children. So there's many people out there that couldn't bring a carbon Pesach anyways. Let them bury the dead. You want to bury your own mishpacha? That's a mitzvah kala. Thought it was cute. Zok the Gemara. These people couldn't do it that exact day. They become tar the next day. So the bottom line is, the Gemara is asking a question. Let's not forget the question. The question is, why are you telling me that you learned that from Kriya Shema, that you don't have to say Kriya Shema if you're doing a mitzvah, and over here all of a sudden we have another source. If you want to perform a mitzvah of burying the dead, and you know that Pesach is coming up at the end of the week, you don't bring a Korban Pesach, you bury the dead. It's a mitzvah kala. It's a very light mitzvah to bury the dead versus missing out on the beautiful Korban Pesach, which is a chiyuv kares if you don't do it. When you're performing the burying the dead, it wasn't Pesach yet. I'll worry about Pesach when Pesach comes. Pesach comes, sorry, I'm tummy already. But right now, today, there's no mitzvah. So I don't have to worry about tomorrow. Maybe I'll be dead by tomorrow. Who knows? Right now, I have to do a mitzvah. But over here, that Kriya Shema is right now. It's right now. So maybe I should drop whatever I'm doing and do Kriya Shema. And if it only says it by Kriya Shema, I'm sure they're like a kares. Kriya Shema is not a big deal. You don't get kares if you don't say Kriya Shema. They get kares. Pesach is very severe. I would say that it's also to bury your relatives when you have a kares that's upcoming and you won't be doing it. Gufa, Omer Rabbi Zavda Omer Rab. Ovel Chai b'chol hamitzvos hamuris b'Torah. Ovel is Chai in everything. Chutz mitzvilin. Shari nemar b'hem pe'er. Now the Gemara says beautifully. They discuss exactly what the Nakud is, how. What happened? Yecheskel, Kosh Baruch tells him, listen, I'm going to kill your wife, Le'aleinu, in the Magefa. And I want you to wear tefillin to show Klal Yisroel that this is what's going to happen to them. They won't be busy with their dead. They'll be as if nobody died. They'll have to wear tefillin. But what does that tell me? That tells me that everybody else in the world that has a loss doesn't wear tefillin. You wear tefillin. You are different. Hashem tells Yecheskel, I want you to wear tefillin. Meaning, Everybody else that has a loss does not wear tefillin. So from here I see that the only mitzvah that you don't do is tefillin. Only when a person is a oinen, when the tsar is tremendous, that's the biggest tsar that there is, the first day. Another halacha, he says in the name of Rab. Ovel chayiv b'sukkah. A person who's avelos, lost a loved one, has to sit in the sukkah. Pshita, we said that Ovel is chayiv in all the mitzvahs. We just finished saying. Ovel is chayiv in every single mitzvah in the world. There's one exception called tefillin. And now you're telling me, oh, by the way, he's also chayiv in a sukkah. And he's also chayiv in matzah. And he's what's the chiddush? So this is the way of the Gemara to narrow it down, to explain to us, what is this tsar? You have a fly that comes flying in and he lands on your nose 10 times. That's tsar that makes you potter from a sukkah. For instance, by me, in my sukkah, I don't know, I'm asking for myself, I have to go ask Rav now. Every night, the hoodlums come and they scream and they carry on right by downstairs. We have a park right by, and they make noise and they're throwing things and they wake me up 1,000 times. Is that mitzvah in a sukkah? All right? I use the plugs and I use the noise. Doesn't help. This guy is also bitzar. Why? Because he's a avel. He just lost a loved one. So maybe he's bitzar, and anybody that's bitzar is part from his sukkah. It's when it comes from the sukkah, the tsar. If it rains in your sukkah, if it whatever it is, some exterior thing, fine, you're bitzar. It's very, very hot. You're part of the sukkah. But if you created the tsar in your own head, somebody died, nobody told you to be sad. You decided on your own to be sad. You could control yourself. You could be not sad if you want. You have to chill out, be calm, and sit in the sukkah. Another halacha from the same person. Here we go. You hear what's going on in Reb Eli for me? I'm being selfish. Baruch gave me a special thing. Somebody was telling me, somebody wrote me an email. He sees special things in the Gemara for him. Everybody in their own thing. Everybody. Elchanan Pressman and Avi Sherman. Mamish, here he is. Avi, Shalom Aleichem. Mazal Tov to you. You see what's going on here? The week of the Avrohom. V'chol b'nei achupa p'tur min hasukkah. Chasen and all his groomsmen, all these chaverim. V'chol b'nei achupa p'tur min hasukkah. Kol shiva departed from the sukkah all 7 days of the Sheva Brachos. My time. Because they have to rejoice, they have to be happy. It's a chiyuv. You hear this? They have to be happy. Ask the Gemara, v'leichlu b'sukkah, v'lechlu b'sukkah. What's the problem? Let them do it all in a sukkah. Ein simcha elo b'chuppah. You hear Aaron? What does this mean? There's the only simcha that you can have is only within the chuppah. What is a chuppah? What does that mean? You hear, Avi? We're going to learn a new thing here. What is a chuppah? Chuppah doesn't mean those 4 poles. You can only have simcha under the 4 poles. So for this, we got to jump into Taisvis. The Taisvis, mishum delay matas man chiyuva. I'm sorry. Ein simcha ela b'chuppah. Like 4 lines before it becomes white. Ein simcha ela b'chuppah. Mashma mikan. If a chassan leaves his chuppah, you know what? I think we should start from the bottom of Taisvis. V'tzarech l'daktik. I'll come back to this. Remind me to come back to this. V'tzarech l'daktik. It's 5 lines before the end of Taisvis. Mai chuppah. What is a chuppah? If it's under the 4 poles, Ella says Taisvis 2 lines before them. It's where they reside. The house, that first house that the chazan kal share, that is their chuppah. Not just he's passing by. In that house of the chazan and kala, that's where you do sheva brachos. So what if they leave that house, and they go outside of that house, and they go to the friend's house for Shever Brachas. Do you do Shever Brachas? Says Tosfos, you're not going to believe this. No, you don't do Shever Brachas. They go to a restaurant to make a Shever Brachas. In fact, the Shulchan Aruch brings this Tosfos. And Sfardim do not say these brachas if they eat outside. However, the Maharal explains there's different, the Taz, the Maharal, the whole Arichos here. So what does it mean they go out? If they're going to a place that's special for them, the friends of the father is making a Shever Brachas, right? They're making in, what is it called in Brooklyn? It's a Shiloh, Rabbi, so we have to ask the Chassan if he wants to be there or not. But if the Chassan wants to be there, Mark Ashkenazi is forcing him to come. But if the Chassan doesn't want to be there, we have a major problem. We can't say these brachas. We're going to have to do halacha l'maisa, Mark. But if the Chassan wants to be there, says the Maharal and the Taz, they want to. There's a game, there's a magician and a zach and a whole thing. They want to be there. Then it's for the Chassan. That's called the Chuppah's Chassan. That's the house of the Chassan for that moment. For that time. Very, very interesting Tosfos. Ayin in this Tosfos. And to finish off today's sugya, v'levdu chuppah basukkah. So let them sleep, according to Tosfos, let them just live in the chuppah. We did this. They have to be together. You have to have the simcha together wherever the food is. As the Gemara said, at the end of the day, we'll have the chuppah basukkah. So let them live in the sukkah. The problem is there's no bathroom in the sukkah. So the chassan might leave for 5 minutes to go to the restroom, and somebody's going to slip in there, and it's going to be yichud. There's a tsar of a chassan that what? The chassan wants to be playful with the kala. He wants to act like a chassan in a kala act, and he's embarrassed about the people that are watching him. And if you have a three-walled sukkah, it's open to the public, and he won't do so. If there's a lot of people, so you see over here, we're not talking about beer or anything like that, but we're talking about as a chassan is, I don't know if the word is intimate, it's a little bit strong, but how chassan acts with the kala, they look at each other, they talk, they whisper, that whole thing. It's embarrassing if people are watching, people that they don't know, because the Gemara is talking about these people in the sukkah. So there's no yichud. They are there, the people are there, and it causes them tzar. Or Rav Zera, ana achli besukkah, me, myself, when I was a chassan, I ate in the sukkah, b'chadi b'chuppah. What are the gars here? Hold on. V'chadino besukkah. No, achli besukkah, v'chadi besukkah. V'kolshki in the chadi liboy, the kavid netarti. I did both. I was in the sukkah, I ate in the sukkah, and I was yahrtzeit both. I got married. We got married before sukkahs, because you're not allowed to get married in Yontif, says Tosfos. Or Rashi, maybe it was Rashi, somebody. I was mekayim both. I was able to get married before sukkahs and be mekayim the shever brachas and everything in the sukkah, and the mitzvah of sukkah. How wonderful to be mekayim all the mitzvahs when we can. But boys, thanks for joining. Tomorrow, Be'ez Hashem, 12 p.m. Chicago time. So it's 1 p.m. New York time. Yishkoyach for all the well wishes. Have a wonderful week. Agutavach. Yishkoyach.